Sorenameka Serenika Sainamakasiki. Welcome. Sai Kesoratika Sarenamata Saratikinaki to another wonderful transmission. Sai Kosaratika Saratikinamaka about structure and discipline during your spiritual awakening. Soy Kesada Makia Kesainamaka Saratikisiki. May you receive what you're meant to receive through this transmission. Soy te pakea mekai. Soy te kaserenina mekai saki. Let's take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale fully. 2 more times. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale it out. Last time. Deep inhale through the nose. Hold the breath and feel. Feel your being. Feel your power. Feel your strength. Feel your love. Feel the support that you have. And give so much gratitude for it. And exhale. Welcome. Wow, season 3. And I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for tapping into our first episode with my dear brother Leo. I mean, it was so awesome. I'm really excited to share with you the other episode that we talked about the stages of awakening, which is coming next month. But for now, let's talk about structure and discipline through your spiritual awakening. And why is it so important? Wow, what a big topic, honestly. What a big topic. And I really love to share my story because then it's something that you can really resonate with. Yeah. Why is it important to have this discipline? Why is it important to have the structure as you are opening to so much and you are remembering, and not just remembering, it goes so deep into your system that it might really feel super overwhelming at times. Let me tell you that I felt so overwhelmed so many times during big trances of my spiritual awakening. And of course, I'm still going through it. It's not like it's just done like this. Yeah, I'll be telling you, we all go through this, and it's normal to go through the ups and downs. But what really helps the most is to have a really solid discipline. What do I mean like that? Something that you really do every single day, even when you don't want to do. You show up and you show up and you continue to show up because you're showing up for yourself and for the being that you're becoming and for the beautiful foundation that you've always had that is coming back up to the surface. It's almost like the light is on and it's like, let's go. So let's go into this, yeah? Wow. Okay. So spiritual awakening is a big thing. And I'm celebrating you for being in this journey because it's not easy. There's so many brothers and sisters out there that like to just pretend that nothing happened, right? But whenever we are in this journey, once you have a little taste of this, it's like, what is this? Almost like you have this really kind of like bitter, but really yummy chocolate. And you're like, oh, yes, more of this, please. Where did this come from? And you just go into this rabbit hole of your own being. And it just ends up being the most grand thing that you've ever done for yourself. But of course, that is like the bigger expression of it. But through the journey, at times, you might feel like, oh, this sucks. Oh, my Lord, what's going on? Oh, my goodness, what in the world? And it's really good to just know what practices really help you to be present. And not just to be present, but what practices can hold you. And are you letting yourself be held? And that's like such an important question, and I invite you to sit with this question. Are you willing to be held by the great unseen forces of life? Are you willing to be held by your being, by the intelligence of your being? And are you willing to be held by others that have been in this journey a little bit longer than you have? Are you willing? And this is honestly that portal, that opening, right? When we are willing, the whole thing, just the pieces come together and life holds you. Life sends you all these beautiful beings, or maybe even situations to get to know other people or hear some things, and these light bulbs just like bloop, 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 bloop come on, and you're like, dang, I didn't know this could be so fun. And of course, many things rise up. Yeah, many things rise up, and it will continue to rise up. Doesn't mean that it will get easy, but you learn to sit with things. You learn to listen. You learn to be with many things that rise up. And that's the difference from the very beginning of the conscious journey to however far you get into in this existence. When I started to go through spiritual awakening in 2016, let me tell you, it was chaos inside of me. I had no idea. My mind had no idea what was going on. Deep inside, I felt, and I was like, wow, there's something so beautiful happening. And I couldn't really put, like, I was trying to get something tangent, but of course, I couldn't. How could I? I didn't have anybody to talk to about this. And yes, I talked about it to my ex-husband at the time. And of course, he tried his best. Oh my Lord. He is such an amazing soul. And I'm so grateful for him because he really tried his best and he helped me, even when he had no idea how to hold me. And through that, I still felt the love. But at the same time, the only thing that I could hold on to, because like, as I said, I wanted something tangible, something that I could touch, like, is this real? Is this real? And because I couldn't really grab these things that were happening to me as visions, as seeing energies or all these releases, I couldn't have a grasp on it. I could feel them for sure and see them and talk about them. But there wasn't one thing that was like, okay, this is it. This is it right here. The one thing that I could be like, this is it, was my Kundalini practice. That is the one thing that I was just like, I can see this is real. There are many things that have been written about this. There's so many kriyas. There's so many interviews. There is also so many, and for lack of better words, reviews out there of how great this practice has been for others. And then it was my experience with it too. How deep I went in the first Kundalini yoga teacher training. And how by just sticking with this practice every morning, things were changing, and things were changing inside of me. Because it all happens within first. So things were coming into order within me. And I felt held. I felt held even when I thought that I was going cuckoo, even when I thought I didn't have anybody and nobody could understand me. I felt super held by this practice. There's this quote from Yogi Bhajan that says, keep up and you will be kept up. Meaning keep up with your practices, build that energy, build that field, build that portal. So then when you feel that you cannot, it's right there for you. Or even just the energies itself of this practice just holds you. And it elevates you every single moment when you sit in this practice and of that practice. And I had no idea what that meant, honestly. My teacher said that, and one of my other teachers, she kept repeating that over and over and over again every time we did a kriya, meditation, or whatever in practice. And I'm like, okay, keep up. I don't know what in the world is going to be keeping me up, but I can keep up. Even in the most challenging moments, I could keep up. Even in the moments where I will be holding my arms like this for minutes, for like 10 minutes or even more, and I'll be shaking. I'm like, keep up, keep up, keep up. I had control over that. I had control of doing my practice. I had in control of my breath. I had control over that. I could feel it. I could see it. I could touch it. I could touch my manual and be like, this is real. And because that was so real, and again, it went beyond this realness sensation. It was more of like, I can feel peace. I can feel peace. In the most chaotic moments of my life, I can find and feel peace through this practice. So let me keep up with that. That became my discipline. That became my structure for every single day. Since 2016, there's probably like 2 times that I stopped doing this practice, and I've said this many times before, because I thought I had it all figured out. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought I had it all figured out. And I went like, burp. And the third time that I stopped is because my being was just like, well, I was actually feeling more the call of a plant medicine. So of rapé. So then I sat with that for a month. And then I went back to it. You know, that there's something about this practice that my being just resonates so deeply with. And it feels so good doing it. And after doing it, honestly, and it's like the foundation of my everyday. But going back into those moments in 2016, let me tell you, and you probably, if you have been following my podcast for a really long time, thank you so much. I so appreciate you. You know how challenging it was. I've shared it many times. But many times when all these things were opening up, when I was remembering moments from childhood that were so deeply painful, I would just be still and cry and collapse on my knees, and all these things were happening around me, and I was just like, I don't even know what's going on. But I trusted that practice. I leaned on that practice. I was like, please hold me. Please hold me. I don't even know who else or what else to ask to be held. But I'm giving my all to you. And please give your all to me. So it was my discipline. It was my foundation. When I didn't do it every single moment or every morning, I still did it. I made myself do it. Even if it became from 30 minutes to 5 minutes, I did it. I showed up. When I felt super tired and I didn't want to get out of bed, I still woke up, I still got out of bed, and I still went to my meditation room, and I still practiced. And afterwards, or during that, actually, most of the times where I didn't even want to practice, I had a breakthrough. And I cried so deeply, and it was so yummy. And it was so good. It was so good, liberating. And so I kept up with her practice. Because for me, Kundalini Yoga showed me what I had been searching for. I had been wanting, and I had asked for so long prior to the Kundalini rising. Please let me know, let me feel what I am, who I am, because I felt so lost. I felt that I had been playing this game, or I just had all these identities and this mask of like, yes, I am this wife, and I am this friend, and I am this daughter, and I am this student, and I am this teacher. And they all just didn't make sense in some kind of way. In other ways it did. And yet, even though my life prior to the Kundalini awakening was beautiful, was amazing, there was still something inside of me that wanted more. And I'm not talking about something that I can hold again tangibly. It was just love. I desired love. And it came about this thing about desiring love for somebody from outside of me, but I desire my own love. I desire to feel the unconditional love that I knew that it was inside of me, because I knew, even in those moments that I didn't know, I still knew. And I wanted that so badly. And I asked, and I said it out loud, and I called it out loud so many times until it showed up. It showed up in my first Kundalini yoga teacher training in 2016. And I remember the first day that we were in the teacher training, and our teacher, Cosmin, in Las Vegas, I think he's still in Las Vegas, but now he's doing also something in on the East Coast somewhere in the States. He looked at all of us and said, you guys must have done something really great to be here. And I remember like, what? Now, in a way, I kind of get it. Okay. But back then, imagine when, I mean, I was still dealing with some things from my depression in some kind of shape or form. I was still dealing with this bulimia, anorexia, self-distorted image, really just pushing away happiness and love, not feeling worthy. And then all of a sudden, this guy on a turban tells me, you must be doing something really good in order to be here. And I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? But thank you. That feels really good to hear. Thank you. So that was like a little opening for me. And I loved it. I looked up to him, I was like, what do you have going on? Because whatever you have, it feels really good. How do I get to be that in me? And at times I will have these tiny little glimpses when he will be talking or giving some wisdom. I'm like, yeah, like that. I resonate. That feels really good. And I just had so many wonderful experiences, honestly, in that first teacher training that, let me tell you, I have four yoga teacher trainings. 2 are in Kundalini yoga, and obviously the other 2 are in Vinyasa style. Kundalini yoga teacher trainings. And if you are a yoga teacher, you know how challenging teacher trainings are in all aspects. Kundalini yoga teacher trainings have a different degree of challenges. A super different degree. It's like from outer space somewhere, because it's not just the physical. We're not doing it asana practice like we do in vinyasa, in ashtanga, hatha, whatever practice. It's so inwards. It's so many breath practices, so much chanting, different kinds of asanas that you're really holding for like 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes at a time. You have a different strength that comes through when you're sitting in those kind of practices for an extended period of time, especially in a teacher training. And so through that, I remember a different strength that I hold. And at the same time, it was tapping into this love that I would just cry. It was so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I still have these moments. It's so beautiful that I just cry. And sometimes it's just, the little tears that just like kind of caress your cheek, right? And sometimes it's like the most ugliest cry. But it's still so out of love, out of bliss, out of like, shit, I'm feeling this. Wow, I get to feel this. And so it had been something that I had been searching to feel, okay? Not to feel anybody else, because that was one of my challenges from a little kid, feeling everybody else's feelings and thinking they were mine and just grabbing them like were mine. But getting to know me, getting to know my emotions, getting to know my sensations, and beyond that, experiencing the deep love that we are, that exist, the infinite love, and beyond that, nothingness. It was such a freaking trip. And honestly, at times it's still a trip, but I'm kind of used to that trip. And I'm so grateful for it. So all these things that I was learning and I was mostly experiencing in my first Kundalini yoga teacher training in Las Vegas in 2016, I just knew this is it. This is that beginning. And even our teacher said, your friends will drop like flies, and that's okay. Let it happen. And I watched that happen. And I watched many other things happening that he said and he called upon. It was like, gosh. But because I was feeling that deep love for me, I was accepting myself even more. I was comfortable with my gifts, and my gifts were even expanding. I was just like, yes, yes, yes. So again, that became, for lack of better words, my church. I showed up as I was. If I felt shitty, I showed up. If I felt great, I showed up. If I was angry, I showed up. I just showed up. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. And it just became such a big strength for me that, again, in the most challenging moments that arose, probably after May of that year, because we started in January, it was just like, I don't even know what else to do, but I'm going to lean on you. I'm going to lean on you, and I'm going to chant. I'm going to chant, and I'm going to call upon the masters and the energies of this practice, the energies of all the teachers that have walked this plane with me and are walking it with me, and maybe even prior of me. I'm just going to chant, and I'm going to ask you to hold me, because I have no idea what else to do. I can't really resonate with anybody else. I haven't found somebody that says like, oh, my Kundalini energy went up. I'm going sheds too. So yes, this is what I'm going to do. And I had my altar too, just like if you're watching the video, you can see my altar, which is saying hi to you, by the way, whether you're watching the video or not. I showed up. I showed up. So that was my structure. When I felt that I didn't have any structure, when I felt that my whole world was collapsing, I had the structure to hold me, to lean on. Even in the moments that I thought I couldn't let myself be held. That became my church, that became my structure, that was my discipline. And I was just like, there was this thing in me. When I commit, I commit. And more than 1,000%, I'm so in. So I was so in, and I'm just like, yes, yes, yes. And let me tell you that there were so many moments in my journey that I was like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. I can't even understand. My mind is trying to understand, but all I can do is feel. And all I can ask you is show me a presence. Please show me a presence. Let me feel you right next to me, so I know that I'm not going crazy. Let me feel you. Let me see you. Show up. Show me that you are here. And many things, I'm going to change my words. Every time that I asked that, every time that I received it. And that is what will bring me to my knees. Every single time that it happened, it brought me to my knees. And with so much gratitude, it's like, thank you. And even just crying out of gratitude. You know, when you are in these moments, if you are going through these moments in your spiritual awakening that is just like so freaking much, and you don't even know what to do, how to talk, or how to feel, or like, what the fuck? And then there's this tiny little thing that just shows you peace. Or maybe it's the smile of somebody, or somebody just saying, I got you. And then it's just such a relief that there's nothing else that you can do but cry. Like, wow, thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you. And I leaned in so much that honestly, in moments, I felt that I was being held by the whole practice. I practice every day in the same spot. And when I lived in Las Vegas, I had my meditation room, and every day at the same hour in the same spot, I will meditate and also do energy work. But when you use the same spot, when you sit in the same time, you're creating a portal. There's this portal that eventually gets so big that it just holds you. So many times I just went into the room in the same spot, and I lay down, and I was just like, don't even know what else to do. I'm just going to be here, and I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to let myself be held. This is what discipline can do for you. This is what having a structure can do for you. Because as you're going through your Kundalini awakening, through your spiritual awakening, this foundation that you already have as the being that you are, okay, you already have it. but it's breaking through the old foundation that you had. So yes, one foundation is collapsing. So this is why we get this feeling of like, I feel like my whole world is collapsing and I'm just standing, watching it collapse, and I can't do anything about it. It's because this old foundation that you had on top of your real foundation, it's just going away because it's not resonating any longer, because that power inside of you is like, yes, yes, allow me to let you feel your own foundation, how powerful you are, how you can be so in your truth, and you can walk this earth with so much confidence and radiance. Yeah. So of course it's going to be challenging, you guys. Of course it's going to be challenging, because everything that we thought we knew about us, or that we had created this story that this is us, is just like shoo, 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 going there, going here, going over there. And you're like, oh, how do I get to hold all these things? Well, you don't. You don't, because you asked for your truth. You asked for you. So your foundation is rising up. So in order to keep this somewhat of a balance within you, and this is what happens when my throat is realigning, you must lean on something else. And at the beginning, you might not have community. And if you do, oh my Lord, that's great. Thank you, Goddess, for that. Thank you, Goddess, for that. So you have something that you can lean on, whichever practice it is. But it is something that shakes your whole being, yeah? Because, for example, exercise is great. Whoa, exercise is great. But there's different kinds of exercise, right? If you go to the gym and just do weights, for example, yes, it does move energy. It also it could be an amazing way of releasing anger. But is it tapping into your spirituality? Is it tapping into your soul? Now, there's other exercises, we can call this, for example, yoga, right? That is also a physical practice. It's a powerful breath practice, but it's also very spiritual. And a lot of people might see it at the beginning as just a physical practice, or like this exercise, right? Sometimes it's wild, and I see it's like bam, 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 yoga, and it's just this like, I'm just gonna flow in my little corner here because I have gone through this part where I just wanted it so fast, and I want it super challenging, which is great. It's great. Obviously, I have the ways that I like it, yeah, and others will not like it like I do. But regardless, it's still something to tap in. It's still something that is just tapping into your soul, into your fire. And it says, I'm ready. I'm ready. Why do you show up every single time to your mat? Because there's something called you. And it's the call that you did to your own soul, being like, yo, I'm ready. Let's do it. And so all these practices appear. And you're like, yes, 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 yes. And you don't need to stick to all of them. Sometimes we might not have time for that, right? But you choose one. And it doesn't have to be an hour, 2 hours. Great if it's 30 minutes. Sometimes it could just be 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes every single day. The same thing. And why is it the same thing? I've told my clients this so many times, and also some friends and some students. Because when you are sticking to one particular practice, you're building up a relationship, and you're strengthening this portal that I was talking about when you do one thing at the same time in the same spot. This portal of transformation. You're building a relationship, and in one part of yourself that is expanding, that is glowing, that is really holding you. If it's different things at the same hour every day, then it's kind of like waking up all these little things, and then your being is like, okay, we're waking all these things up, and there's not just one relationship, one deep relationship. Yeah. So you want to stick with one thing. And I can feel also there are a lot of people that don't like the consistency. But there is a reason why Ashtanga yoga works. And it's just a set practice, the same set every single time you step on the mat. There's a reason for that. Yeah. And so it works. It works. Look at the yogis out there, right? It works for me too. I love Ashtanga yoga. And that's actually what I practice. I started repracticing that because I stopped for a really long time. But then my being called for it. It's like, we're ready to go back to Ashtanga and have that specific practice. And of course, I still love doing other things, right? Other different asanas that are not in the primary series. But that's my main discipline. And I invite you that if it's really challenging for you to stick with one thing, stick with one thing. And again, it doesn't need to be something for hours upon hours, 10 minutes, even 5 minutes, but I invite you to do 10 minutes. Some breath work, super helpful. Some kind of movement, yeah. It can honestly be just like dance, but with intention. And this whole thing goes back to intention, okay? Why are you doing what you're doing? So set up that intention, be like, this is what I'm doing for myself. I'm doing this for my foundation. I'm doing this to create this relationship with something, quote unquote, outside of me that is helping me connect with me. This is my discipline. This is my structure. And you don't let anybody mess up with that, not even yourself. This is really important. This is really important because at times the mind will like play all these games like, you don't need to do this anymore. You have it all figured out. Like I said, I've been there twice. You have it all figured out. You don't need to do this practice anymore. Or like, oh my gosh, just you're so tired. Just like stay in bed and sleep. And well, if you sleep in, still wake up and do your practice. Yeah. It's so important. You don't let anybody mess up with your discipline and your structure, and you keep it up. Again, you keep it up so that you are kept up. And you will see, at the beginning, it might really feel challenging if you're not used to having a structure and a discipline. Have some accountability partners, or just tell one of your besties or somebody that are in similar journeys as you, and be like, hey, I'm starting this practice and I would love to just share with you every day. And if I don't share, just call me up on it. And honestly, it could be very helpful. It could be so helpful. So right now I'm doing a 90-day out-of-body experience with one of my besties for Las Vegas. So shout out to Mila. Green Morning Art in Instagram, if you like to follow her. She's an amazing artist that lives in Las Vegas. So we're doing this thing about out-of-body exploration, and she's my accountability partner. So every day I tell her OBE day X check, and then we talk about our dreams and whatever happens. And that's a way of just, in a way, having more fun with somebody else, like telling somebody else that you're doing it, and then just sharing also the experiences. And it can help you to not make it so like, oh, shoot, this is discipline. Because there is a part of us that might feel a little like, oh, discipline? That just sounds so like, and who knows, maybe this happens because of childhood, right? I don't honestly remember at this moment if I had a resistance towards discipline. As far as I can remember, I've been very disciplined myself. I didn't really need somebody to tell me do this or do that, because I realized, okay, this is really important, so I'm going to do it. And if I had to do something, I have to do something. But again, it went back, for me, it goes back into commitment, right? Am I in? yes. If I'm in, it's like I said, I'm so in. If it's not, I'm like, definitely not. So commit. And this is not something that you're doing for somebody else, okay? This is really setting up the foundation for the rest of your spiritual awakening. This is the time that you get to do it. This is the time it's like, okay, so I'm really going to work very hard at this discipline situation if that is something that you don't like, so then I don't have to do in the future, right? Because maybe you're listening to this podcast, right? And then you're like, yeah, I'll do the discipline. And then you kind of go up and down with it, like one day yes, one day no, or something like this. And then maybe 3 months down the road, you're like, dang, I should have done this discipline thing, because now it's even more challenging. Okay, so I invite you to just do it. Just do it, because eventually you're going to have to do it. So what better moments than now? What better moment than now? And again, you're doing this for yourself, okay? Nobody else can do it but you. Literally, nobody else can do it but you. Let this sink. Nobody else can do it but you. People can tell you about all these things. They can tell you about their experiences, and you can be like, ooh, that sounds cool. I want to do it. But then you will not experience it or something similar to that unless you commit, unless you have the discipline and you have the structure of that particular practice and you stick with it. Even when you don't want to stick with it, even when you want to throw it away, even when you just want to I don't know, flip it off or something. Sometimes that can feel like that's something that could feel like, no, screw you. You're doing this for yourself. You're doing this for yourself. And what a beautiful way of showing yourself how committed you are to you, to experiencing your truth, to really live and write the story that you want to write about your life, to leave a legacy behind, to do something so then the rest of your family can remember. And maybe if you want to, I invite you to, the humanity can remember. Leave that stamp in this planet when you exit it. So then somebody else can follow those steps. Somebody else can be like, I feel you. I'm there too. Okay, that worked out for you. Great. I'm going to do it too. Because we all go through spiritual awakening. Some of us really choose to just like go in it. Yeah. Some of us are just in and out in a way, but that doesn't mean they're not in their own spiritual awakening. Some of us choose to not look at it. Even, when the elephant is in the room, right? It's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. And some others are like, dang, there's an amazing elephant in the room. Can we talk about it? Choose it, and only you can choose this. Only you can choose this. You're the only one that can take action or non-action. This is all about you. This is all about you. But I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to repeat it from experience, the most challenging moments that I've gone through in my spiritual awakening, I don't think that I would have been able to make peace with that or work through that had it not been for my practices. No. No whatsoever. And I feel called to share this story, okay? Perhaps some of you really need to listen to it. If you know about my story, you know that I suffer from bulimia and anorexia for over 20 years. I almost died twice from it. It was really, really deep. And also, it was so hard. You have no idea. So hard to get to the root of that, to sit with all of that, to make peace, and to accept my story, to accept that happened, to accept my body, and to love my body. So hard. When my boyfriend and I were living in Colombia, we lived in Colombia for about 2.5 years. It was in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, that, and 2019 is like 4 years ago, you guys. So it's not like that far away, okay? There was this moment where I just felt so yucky, so yucky. If you have had a story of bulimia, anorexia, self-distorted image, I'm not sure how your story went, but for me, it's like I felt so gross. I felt so gross. I didn't want the world to see me. I will hide in my room. And I did this as a kid too. I just felt so fat, so hideous. It was like, oh, ugh, I don't even want to look at myself. How would I go around and walk and let the whole world see me when I didn't want to be seen? And I really just wanted to hide and be in a ball in the little corner of my room, or in a corner of my room, And so one of the days, because we lived in this beautiful area really close to Guatapé, we were walking from the finca because we lived in a country home. We took this amazing hike to get to Guatapé and go have lunch because we love doing that. We love being in nature. I mean, we still do. And I felt so gross, so gross. I just felt that like my whole body was exploding, that I looked so fat. I felt so comfortable in my skin. And I kept telling my boyfriend this thing. So he's like, you don't look fat, which totally understand. Okay. I mean, my clothes are very small. So like mentally, it makes sense. I know, I know. But emotionally, it's triggering all these things and something is coming up. So we had lunch and I was like, I need to go home. I need to go home. I need to sit with this. And I was so uncomfortable. I feel like, fuck, I don't know if I can sit with these things. But I knew, honestly, I really wanted to be like, stay away. I'm just going to be here in my cool little bubble. But I knew I deserved to be free from that. I knew that part of me wanted to be heard because I could feel her. I could just feel like, pay attention. I'm just here. Just want to share with you all these things. So we went back home and I sat on my bed, I think for hours, honestly. And I was so uncomfortable. And I just went inside and I listened to all those parts of myself and I love them. But let me tell you that I was shaking, I was crying, I was screaming. And it took me a little bit because I had the resistance of, no, I don't want to. No, I don't want to. But again, I had gotten pretty good at just going inside and do my own shadow work because I could pinpoint and I could just let my own energies to lead me, just kind of like grabbing my hand and just taking me in. And I sat with that part of me and I embraced her and I understood the root of that. And I watched that episode, that memory playing over and over and over within my system to really love that and to accept and forgive. And I wouldn't have been able to sit with all the uncomfortability had I not sit with all the uncomfortable moments in my practice of Kundalini yoga. Because again, I'm telling you that at times in Kundalini yoga, you are sitting for 30 minutes chanting, 31 minutes, 33 minutes. Sometimes I think we've been there for an hour in teacher training. Sometimes you're just holding your arms parallel to the floor for like 10 minutes and using muscles that you normally don't use, or just doing other things that are highly uncomfortable, but get you feel so good. I know it's like such a weird contrast, but I wouldn't have been able to sit with that, honestly, had I not had that practice. And at that moment in time in my life, I was doing Aquarian Sadhana, which is like 3 hours long. I'm not even joking. I will wake up at 4 a.m. I'll take a cold shower and I'll start to chat the Japji. If you're familiar with Kundalini Yoga, you probably know the Sikh tradition. You probably know what I'm talking about. The Japji, then I will go into my actual practice and then end up with chanting all the mantras from the Aquarian Sadhana. And it was great. I felt so good. Oh my God, so good. I feel so good. I also had the time to do that, and I committed, even the moments I didn't want to wake up at 4 in the morning, I still did it. When I had my moon and I couldn't even be sitting, I will do it laying down. So again, the discipline and the structure that I had to the practice allowed me to tap into the strength of sitting with really uncomfortable things for my own benefit, which obviously is the benefit of all of us. And so this is why it's so important to you for your own evolution and the evolutions of your lineage, the ones that came, the ones that are coming, the ones present, for the collective. Yeah. But again, you may use that as something that feeds you in a way. I'm doing this for the collective. If at the beginning it's challenging for you to say that you're doing it for yourself. If you are in this journey, you're doing it for yourself, first and foremost. And it's wonderful. So choose that. And if you work like me, which is the most uncomfortable thing. Because honestly, for me, when I do a practice that is extremely challenging, or even an asana pose, right, in yoga practice, when it's super challenging and I want to be out of the pose, I practice that even more, because I was like, there's something here. There's something here. What's in here? And I approach it with curiosity and love. And at times I can be pretty sucky at it, and at times pretty good. So if that doesn't work for you, just stick with one thing. Stick with one thing. And again, yes, I'm talking about Kundalini yoga because that has worked for me and it still works for me. It doesn't need to be Kundalini yoga, yeah? It can just be committed of showing up to your mat, doing a yoga practice, even if it's just doing it through YouTube, There's so many videos out there. I mean, we don't really have an excuse of like, there's nothing out there. There's so many things out there. Make sure that you resonate with the teacher. Make sure that the energy feels good. And you will know, when it's like you feel a sinking thing in your navel, it's like, I don't really think this is for me. Then don't. Really, then don't. Find a thing that really helps you tap into your soul, brings you so much peace, even if it's super challenging, Maybe Taekwondo can do that for you. Who knows? Maybe it's ecstatic dance. Maybe for you, it's just doing alternating nostril breathing and just meditating after. There's so many things out there. So many things out there. So again, it's important for you to have the discipline at the beginning, because then it's not going to be as challenging in the future. It's not. It might really suck completely at the beginning. It might really suck so much at the beginning that you just don't want to do it anymore. But then towards the future, then it's just like, yeah, I get to sit with myself. This is awesome. And also having the awareness, because then you have the experience that if you don't want to, or you feel resistance, it's like, what's in here? What is creating this resistance? Let me sit with this. So then it becomes this thing of like more curiosity. It's like a relationship, a new relationship that you're building with yourself and remembering. So it could be so yummy too. It doesn't have to be like, structure, discipline. Just remember that we do have the two energies, the masculine and the feminine energies. The masculine is more of the foundational structure. Yeah. The feminine is the flowy one that creates and dances, is spontaneous, right? You can be out there in the ethers receiving all these messages all the time and not creating something in this physical plane because you lack structure, because you don't know how to put things in concrete, like writing things down and making it happen, because the masculine energy is not as strong as the feminine. So we need this balance. So this balance, this discipline, this foundation is your masculine energy. Work with your masculine energy so you can hold your feminine. So that it reaches one point when they're all just dancing and so much bliss and union, and discipline doesn't have this negative connotation of like you're being disciplined. It's more like, yes, this is my masculine energy. Hello, masculine energy. Thank you for being here. And thank you for holding my feminine energy so she can just create with you too. Allow this to be so joyful and have fun with it. Oh, have so much fun with it. Be curious. Be curious of your journey and who you are. Be curious of this discipline and the practice that you choose. Be curious about your foundation and be curious about what you can do with this discipline and foundation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's just take a little moment to let all this information sink in, and I'm also doing it for myself. Relaxing the navel and also the yoni if you're a sister. Feel, let it sink in. Absorb, absorb. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for being present. Thank you so much for your comments and your emails. I'm so grateful. So grateful for your support. And I'm honestly even more grateful that this serves you well. There's the reason why I do this, because I couldn't find anything. It's like, what the fuck? So here. That's what I choose to do out of love. Out of love for all of us. There's so much more happening. There's so much more happening. And it's so other brothers and sisters can really find these little nuggets of wisdom as they're going through their spiritual awakening and know they're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What a beautiful silence in this portal, in this transmission. I feel that it's just nourishing me and activating me. This is why my neck is cracking so much and I feel it on my tongue. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Gracias. Sulpaiki. I'll see you next time.